I'm not about to shy away from this. I am in love. L-O-V-E, love. The Viture XR Pro is a device I did not know I needed in my life. I'm so in love, I don't even care for specs. Let this be said, even though I am a reviewer that usually leans on the technical aspects and like to break them down, I'm not taking this approach with this review. Instead, after having explained some of the benefits and features, I'll tell you about my personal experiences, why I love them, and what I wish was different or improved. I'll let you know how this simple device is transforming the way I consume my games, my movies, my videos, a bunch of things really. Now, quick disclaimer, this product was sent for review, all opinions are my own and they get to see the video at the same time as everybody else. Sit back, relax, let me take you on a journey, which is the one I've experienced with this product. I did say no specs, so I won't get into details, but I will let you know that when this thing is performing at peak capabilities, it mimics a 135-inch TV at a 3-meter distance that can go up to 4,000 nits. It will blow your minds and your eyeballs if you want. They're capable of providing stereoscopic vision as well as side-by-side 3D viewing, assuming that you have the movies or games to take advantage of said feature. Of course, I won't be able to show you 3D in this video, but I'll still illustrate what the experience feels like. But before I do, I want to make this clear, no pun intended. If you think it's gonna look like VR, believe me, it greatly surpasses the clarity of even pancake lenses VR like the ones found in the Quest 3, while also offering a lot less immersion features. What I'm trying to say is, don't think it's like VR. It's a completely different category of products with its own benefits and its own challenges as well. Talking about challenging, which for me is going to be showcasing how this thing looks, and so let's do this. Let's use this view as a canvas. If I was to put my actual vision into this video, it would look something like this. And as is with our peripheral vision, the edges are blurry. When putting the glasses, that portion is something you'll still see if you focus on it. So unless you are in pitch black, it'll all depend on the environment around you. That is somewhat irrelevant, but I wanted you to know. So I'll zoom back in and show you what the glasses look like. When you put them on, it'll look something like this. With the glasses on your head, the external view gets smoky with a smidge of sepia-like tint. As for the image in the glasses, that one is super gorgeous and vibrant. The center should appear as clear and sharp after having it dialed to your comfort level. The edges can appear a bit blurry. I will blame our eyes and not our glasses because when I spend more than 10 to 15 minutes on them, the edges do become crystal clear, whereas when I just put the glasses, they are not. So to me, it's more your side getting adjusted than it is the glasses having blurry edges. Please keep in mind that the real thing is slightly different. To adjust brightness, you'll have 2 buttons on the left side of the glasses, and right next to it is a very important button, one that will activate and deactivate the electrochromic film. That film will block 99.5% source of light, meaning that even on a super bright sunny day sitting outside in the backyard, you can still have a huge screen and not be bothered by the sun. But if that isn't enough, Viture does produce an accessory that you can put over your glasses, which seals 100% of the light. The screen will follow your head as if it was glued to it, and one thing that you'll quickly get adjusted to, but still I feel I should mention, is that looking at the screen is not like looking at the same depth, meaning that if you look forward, your screen will become blurry. If you focus on your screen, the rest around will become blurry because your vision will adjust like the focus on a camera. Now also, we have to remember this is not a VR headset, so you'll always have light leak. So you want to adjust your environment based off of the immersiveness that you seek. And believe me, at night when everyone is sleeping with my face stuffed in my pillow, it's the pitch black most cinema you'll ever see. It's glorious. Now that part is simple, but here's a couple of things you ought to know. If your device has DP-Alt, Thunderbolt, or DisplayLink support, you have a portable screen. So as long as your device can output its image and audio through USB-C, you are set. The one exception to my knowledge is none other than the Nintendo Switch due to its proprietary protocol. And for that, Viture has a solution which we'll get back to later in this video. In a nutshell, most modern phones and tablets with USB-Cs are nearly always guaranteed to work. Handheld PCs like Steam Deck, Rogue Ally X, Legion Go, and the boutique brands like Ioneo, GPD, 1x Player, and so on and so forth, they'll all work. Tablets, that'll work too. Apple devices with USB-C, that'll work with an asterisk, more on that shortly as well. And most modern PCs, laptops, Macs, MacBooks, they'll work. All these different devices will pair with your glasses. However, some will work better than others. For example, selecting your refresh rate on Android and iOS is not easily feasible on every device. Some will have baked-in options to do so, some won't. So while you will be able to plug your phone, you might not max out on the capabilities of the glasses. The other thing is, when using the 1920 by 1080p resolution, you get the widest and tallest results that can be. But if you were to work with a device that outputs at 1920 by 1200p, so a 16 by 10 ratio, it would mean that you will lose some width. And same goes if you're dealing with a 4:3 or a 1:1. If you were to have, say, a 21:9 aspect ratio, you would keep the same width, but you would lose height. So in the best scenarios, you'll want to stick to devices that can either let you address your resolution or that will by default output a 16:9 resolution. It's not too much of a distraction, but if you want to maximize your glasses, you want to stick to 16:9. It's kind of the same deal when talking about your refresh rate. The glasses can do anywhere between 60, 90, or 120 Hz. But if your device doesn't let you select the video output's refresh rate, you might be stuck to whatever your device allows. That is not a limitation on the glasses, but rather on the operating system of the device that you're using the glasses with. Now, before we talk about how I use it, I mentioned you have speakers on this device. If you double tap the electrochromic button, it'll let you cycle between brightness adjustment and volume adjustment. You can hold the volume brightness up to adjust your color profile from 4 different presets, and also hold your volume brightness down to change your screens to a side-by-side forced profile to watch 3D movies that are in the format. If that sounds like a foreign language to you, don't stress over it. You simply won't need that feature. I use it for just about anything and everything I could potentially want to use it for. And the reality is, you could watch 100 reviews and you probably won't find all the ways that these can be used. It is such a low friction, low commitment effort that you could use this thing literally everywhere. In bed, on the can, passenger in a car, in a park, in the bath. Not that I recommend doing so, as they are not waterproof or water resistant. It literally is as effortless as plugging one USB-C wire. And when I need to disengage, I pull on the magnet connector. Simple, low friction, low commitment, effortless. There's also a bit of an Easter egg feature that is not by design, and it couldn't even if they wanted. If you know a little bit about stereoscopic viewing, aka 3D, aka depth, you'll know that the effect is completely created by our brains because we have 2 eyes. These glasses, well, they have 2 screens. And even though both screens display the exact same thing, guess what? Your brain will oftentimes create the same effect as it would in the real world. Which means that effectively, using those glasses on perfectly 2D content will sometimes give you a 3D effect. That is not a feature of the glasses. That is not an on-off switch. That is just your brain computing the information in a way that it always does. It doesn't happen with everything. Just know that it's a thing and you can't really control it if it happens. Personally, I love it. I think it's so cool. But some people might find it a little disheartening. By now, you understand some of the reasons why I'm in love. So let's talk about the options that are offered to you. You can buy just the glasses. Technically, that's all you need. That retails for $550 US, and it's often discounted. You can buy the pack with the dock. That's $710 US, and also often discounted. And I mentioned Switch earlier. This pack is in fact a battery bank, which also happens to accept signals such as the Switch, to then be able to split the signal to 2 pairs of glasses, and that dock can also be mounted to an attachment on which you can sit your Switch on it as well. Now, the dock can also work for a plethora of other devices. It's not Switch exclusive, so you could use it for your Steam Deck, for your Rogue Ally. It will split the signal for any incoming signal as well. There's also a Pro Pack that comes with a bunch of goodies and also a custom exclusive 8-bit Ultimate C Bluetooth for some delicious gaming, which is modeled after the Steam Deck OLED limited edition. All in all, there are a lot of different options, and one I want to bring to your attention is the XR charging adapter for iPhone 15 and 16. Before I elaborate, you don't need it to have a screen from your USB-C capable iPhones. I talked about how the glasses can be a screen, but they have more to them than just a screen. They can also offer 3 depth of field AR experiences. If you ever owned Google Cardboard or Oculus Go, or if you remember the Nintendo Wii's first Joy-Cons, you remember how you were able to move a cursor midair? Well, you can do that using your Android phone. And in that mode, when tilting your head or when turning your head, what you have in front of you will remain in front of you as if that 135-inch screen is stationary. So what's the iPhone adapter got to do with this? For that feature to work on Apple, thanks to MFI, you need that charger. But on Android, it just works as long as you download the app. Now, I'm not going to spend more time talking about that because while it is cool, it's more of a proof of concept than it is an actual tool that most people would use. I wouldn't want you to think it's anywhere near as good as a VR headset, but there is one feature that is particularly cool, and that works on iPhones even without the adapter. It is to watch your spatial videos. And it so happens to be that I took a bunch of them on my Europe trip without ever knowing I'd have the solution to watch them back. And while I can't show you that effect in this video, they do offer depth in the glasses since it effectively offers stereoscopic vision by having one screen for each eyes. Nerds like me will understand. Amongst the stereo viewing, you also have a browser and some other apps within the app itself, mostly designed around 3D viewing, nothing about gaming. So I'm in love. I said it before, I'll say it again, but it's not perfect. I have, for the most part, 4 cons. The first one that feels unfair to even make it into one, but it's something I think anyone buying these glasses will realize. The world we live in and the relationship that we have with our devices is one that is so input driven, be it through a keyboard, a mouse, your hands, your touchscreen, a remote control. Everything that pertains to your electronic devices always have a form of input integrated. And while technically, yes, the glasses do have it in the 3 depth of field mode, it doesn't when you're using the screen. So with that in mind, your other device will remain responsible of your inputs, but you'll have to navigate without having your sight set on it. It can make navigation challenging to say the least, so your glasses are best used in a prepared environment. I think Viture knows that this is a rift in the experience that they provide, so I wouldn't be surprised if they are constantly trying to find a way to bridge that gap. The other con I have ties in with the first, and it is that you are helpless to some devices. That could potentially be remedied by having some type of menu to address the width and the height of your vision, for example. But such a thing does not exist, so again, I feel like Viture is heading in a direction that would immediately address both my cons, but for the time being, they are a very mild nuisance to what is an already extremely convincing and pleasant product experience. My third is for the ones like me that want to keep their devices pristine. There is a lot of glass involved in the utilization of the product. Glass I wouldn't want to scratch, glass I wouldn't want to put fingerprints on, but it's just unavoidable. That is why I wish Viture produced and sold screen protector films. The last con is one I feel is necessary, but it goes as followed. The glasses leave a lot of room around the frame, all while sitting at a fair distance from your face, probably as a necessity to have this clear an image. That in itself is not a problem and something easy to get used to. Rather, the con is when the light outside of the glasses hits just right. You can see a reflection of yourself or that light bouncing into the juxtaposed pieces of glass. It looks like that wide-eye too close for comfort meme. You know, that one. It's funny and it doesn't show up often, but when it does, it can be somewhat of a distraction. All right, my conclusion is this. These glasses single-handedly made me cancel 6 different devices that I had up for pre-order or crowdfunding. I'm not even kidding. Because even if it would sound nice to have the newest retro handheld, does it really matter? As we know, phones are amazing because not only are they powerhouses, they are also amazing at tapping into your other devices you use. Your living room consoles, your PCs, they can emulate nearly just as well as personal computers, and with this neat accessory, they can now give you a bigger screen than 99% of us even have in our living rooms, with 120 Hz and OLED clarity. Now, I don't think I need to say more, do I? The reality is that the nature of what I do will make it so that I will talk about these devices, but let me make this very clear. Viture alone made me revisit so many of them that I purchased, not to make reviews, but just because I like to have them. I don't need to. They won't offer as easy a solution as this is to have the best possible screen. They just won't. And if you feel ready to fall in love like I have, you need to test these out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to do the YouTube things if you like this review. Clef out. Peace.